Hello and welcome to episode 14 of Not Again with Sandy. I think I've started this episode about 6 times. I'm completely out of practice, and it's been a minute since I recorded my last one. But I have a lot to share with you because even though I'm not recording, I'm still knitting. Now this channel is where I share the errors I've made in my knitting, the things that worked to fix that, lessons I learned, that kind of thing. If you're a knitter, you've probably been here with me. So first let's talk about any finished objects that I have, and I actually have 2, which should frighten anybody. That's a lot in however many days it's been. So remember, I was working on this random sweater. This is the Monday sweater by Petite Knits. I just picked a variety of kind of cool jewel tone colors along with some neutrals, and each time I finished a round, I would pick another color and another number of rows. And so the sleeves don't match. It's all different, but it was a lot of fun to make. And I'll put a better picture up, but you can see how big it is. But it worked out well. I actually used math, if you can believe it, to figure out how wide it needed to be, because the original pattern did not have any kind of side increases. It was only a straight construction, no waist shaping at all, anything like that. And I made some changes. The bottom hem was supposed to be a turned over, I can't remember the name of this, where they kind of double up the collar. It was supposed to be that way on the bottom too, and I didn't think I would like that, so I just did a twisted rib on the bottom. And then the sleeve was supposed to be like 4 inches of ribbing, and I just don't like ribbing that much, so I did the twisted rib on here too. But it ended up being kind of a wide cuff. Even though there was decreases along the way, it didn't decrease it to a really narrow cuff, and that's fine. I don't mind it. I tend to fold them over and pull them up my arms anyway, just like I did with this one. So I've enjoyed wearing this. It's cozy. I like the yarn I chose, which wasn't super expensive, but was very nice to knit. So success on that one. All right, then you remember I was starting, where's my pattern here? The Caladan sweater by Tammy Gore. Tammy is spelled Tamygore. And I had yarn that was, I'm kind of twisted up here. Let me bring it back. A very dark kind of teal, and then more of a lighter teal with a lot of speckles of like a fluorescent yellow and fluorescent red. So that was fun. Something that I've noticed though, as I've done this pattern, is that these colors are at times pretty close. So that's been a challenge with this. This is a tonal teal, and tonal, when you're dyeing, means that it's all the same color, but parts of it are darker and parts of it are lighter. So it can go, kind of hover around a mid-range color. And so there are places on here where it gets very dark. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's places where it gets kind of light. Well, this is also tonal, of a lighter shade, but it also can get kind of dark in places and kind of light in places. And there have been a few times as I've been knitting that I've found that the lightest part of this is about the same as the darkest part of this. So what does that mean for my knitting? And you're going to be surprised that this is only as far as I've gotten, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. But yeah, there's times on here, I don't know if you can tell, but this pattern is not near as distinct. Whoops, I just threw a bunch of stitches off. I have to hold this better. This pattern is not near as distinct as you would expect it to be. There's places where it's definitely a little muddy, not, really clear like this one is. And that's because at times these colors are just too close to be very distinctive. but I'm not upset about it. I think it will end up being more organic looking, and it will still be attractive. It will still be quite obvious when I start using just the lighter color for the rest of the body. So I'm not worried about that. The reason I've only gotten this far on this sweater though is because the main pattern has such long repeats. They're 24 stitches. And I'm used to dealing with 8 stitches, 10 stitches, 12 stitches, and a repeat. So I can easily memorize it and just shoot along my round without having to really look at the pattern. 24 stitches is too much for me to memorize. So and plus with the colors sometimes being so close together, it's hard to look at it and have a reference for exactly where I am. I have to really pay attention. And so for me to have 11 sets of 24 inches in my round and have to pay such close attention, it's not a relaxing knit. Which is why I started something else, thinking, well, I can trade back and forth. And I kind of did for a while. I already had all the yarn and pattern for this. This is called Quicksand by Heidi Kirrmaier, Kirrmaier. And it's just a cardigan that is a little drapey in the front, so it tends to come out at an angle on the fronts, so it drapes. It's, see, there's another picture here, which is good. Now they made it with a worsted cotton, which would be very light. I didn't do that. I got an Aran weight wool tweed. This is, I didn't bring the tag in here, so let me see if I can remember. Blue Sky Fibers wool stock tweed, and it's an Aran weight. This is just a light gray, but can you see there's some little black speckles? Let's see, maybe here you can see some of the, there's also brown and kind of beige speckles here and there. So it turned out a really nice sweater, and I enjoyed the pattern. The pattern is laid out very well with all the increases. The increases kind of create a pattern of their own, which was fun, especially how they handled the back. That was neat. The back for my size was 84 stitches across, but they designated a right back and a left back section, which left a center section between them. And every increase round, we would decrease under the underarms and then knit through those back sections and then come to the center section and increase on either side of that. So as the sweater along the center piece got larger and larger, and the side parts from the underarm to the left back or right back were smaller, and I'm hoping that means that it's going to drape really nicely. I think it will. So it was fun to make, and being an Aran weight, it worked up really pretty quickly, which is why it's already done. I just finished it a couple nights ago. I let it block for a day, or soak for a day, and now I've blocked it on my blocking pads. So I'm looking forward to it being dry and trying it out. I think it might even be more of a kind of a coat weight, because it didn't feel like that heavy a yarn when I was knitting it, but once it was knit, it was really, really thick and sturdy. I think I'll really like it. Now, this is not a super wash yarn. It's just a regular wool, so I didn't drop. So I really had to make sure that I changed, or I mean that I had to make sure that I made it as long as I wanted to, because it wasn't going to fall any further once I blocked it. So I ended up getting 3 more skeins. This is all I have left. It was perfect though. It ended up, just below my butt, which is what I was looking for. And it actually is a little lower in the bottom. There's, the short rows came in after all of the increases. So I really think I'm gonna like it. All right, so I've talked about all of my finished objects and my work in process that I'm really trying to talk myself out of starting another sweater to deal with the kind of a simple knitting offset to the complex knitting of my Caladan sweater. So we'll see. We'll see. Now let's talk about one of my long ago sweaters that I made so many interesting errors on. Remember, this came after the sweater I had made where all the changes I had made worked out perfect, and I was just so confident that I could just adapt any pattern now. I knew what I was doing. I was all cool like that. So anyway, this is this pattern. Let me show you who made this one. New York Yarns. This is called the Push Pop. It's just it's supposed to be kind of a swing sweater, but it does have, it shows this one being totally buttoned up. I like to wear it just buttoned at the top and have a t-shirt underneath, and that was really fun. I actually made this, I think, in this very same color, and it was a lot of fun to make. So I had yarn. Let me just show you the sweater so you can see the yarn I had. I had this yarn. I can't recall the brand name of it, but it's wool but silk, and there's definitely mohair. You probably can't see all that standing up. No, can't. But anyway, there's this little fog of fiber that stands over it. So it's soft and it's pretty, and it's all these colors I like. I'm sure you've all picked up on what my favorite colors are now. But I only had about 5 skeins, and the skeins were not large. They were just kind of this size. And I didn't think I had enough for that sweater. So I found 2 places online that had this yarn. It wasn't from the manufacturer. I think it was from like Etsy. Somebody there had some, and I found some somewhere else. And I ordered them both because I thought, I have no idea how true these dye lots are. Maybe one section will come and it'll be completely weird and I can't use it. So either way, I'll have enough yarn. Well, they both came. They both looked great. There was no dye lot problems. So I thought, well, I've got all this yarn. Let's see if I can make this longer and bigger. So I started on it, and I did make it long sleeved rather than short sleeved, and I made it as long as I could because you know I like things past my hips, and didn't really take into account the fact that this is not the style of sweater you want to lengthen. You know, I've got this kind of loose neckline, and this was supposed to be, you know, kind of going around my shoulders and buttoned here. That was how it was shown, you know, in that. But instead, I just let it flop. I didn't put in buttons or buttonholes. And then when I increased the size, because I now had to increase it to go around my hips, I don't think I increased it enough. So what it looks like, basically, is it looks like a cape that I put sleeves in. Oh, and you know, because the front doesn't quite come up to meet in the front, and it just looks very cape-like. And then what I have to do now is I have these pins like for shawls, and I have to like pin it right here so it doesn't fall off me because it doesn't have a tight neckline at all. Oh well, bought all that extra yarn, but it is soft and it is warm, and if I'm just sticking around at home, I enjoy wearing it. So it hasn't been a total disaster, but it doesn't look at all like I hoped it would look like. And that was really the humbling thing that helped me see that, yeah, I don't necessarily know what I'm doing. I have more examples, sadly, but yeah, it was okay. It's wearable. That's about all I can ask. Well, thank you for joining me today. Hopefully things will calm down on this end so I can talk with you a little more often. Thanks.